Welcome, I'll be reacting to Star Trek The Animated Series, Season 1, Episode 12. This is not a market substitute. Please support the original on Paramount+. Engage.
Has been assigned the mission of surveying this area and, if possible, determining the cause of these disappearances. Klingon battlecruiser. Deflector shields up, Mr. Sulu.
Deflector's up, sir.
Lieutenant Uhura.
What's a bird of prey
Open the
doing
hailing
here?
frequency. Ready, phasers.
Phasers locked on target, sir.
Mr. Spock.
Its shields clearly deflected the phasers. But I would venture the theory it has something to do with the many ship disappearances in this area.
A natural phenomenon, but what? Mousetrapped.
That's a lot of bird of
The
prey.
first ship doesn't succeed in blasting us out of existence. They have 2 backup ships to do the job.
Tactically well planned.
You have been identified as the Starship Enterprise, Captain James T. Kirk, last known to be in command. Surrender immediately, or we will destroy you.
We did not destroy the Klothos, and you are well aware of it, Commander.
Captain, our deflector shields have just gone out.
Sir, the instruments, they've gone haywire. I can't orient myself.
So a normal episode then? Here we go.
Where did they go?
Captain,
But to where? Or when?
I've lost all coordination. Dizzy.
Sir, we seem to be suffering from some form of vertigo.
Sulu, are we still on the same coordinates?
I can't tell, sir. Focus.
Between the title and the movie A Voyage Home, having similar situations, I feel like they just traveled in time because it does give vertigo in the Star Trek universe.
Mr. Sulu. Mr. Sulu. Mr. Sulu. It's like a vast Sargasso Sea. If we check closely, I believe we'll find many of those ships are the ones designated
Yeah,
as
check the
lost in the
chronometer.
Delta Triangle.
An alternate universe?
Something corresponding to that. The records say every ship lost here vanished without a trace.
Most starships are fairly self-sufficient. As long as they have power, people should be safe, right?
There is a random factor to the ship disappearances. Perhaps the touching of the 2 time continuums is erratic.
The Klothos dead ahead.
Sound red alert. Phasers, lock on target.
Fire!
Sir, our weaponry is frozen.
Fire.
Firing phasers.
Report, sir.
No response, sir. There's no indication of damage. All instruments register normal.
Is there like a Q alien involved?
That will not be
Is that a
needed
Gorn
here,
back there?
Commander Corps. Welcome to Elysia, Devna, interpreter of laws.
There are so many different races here. Elysia, as in Elysium, the afterlife of heroes.
23 races.
Interesting choice of name.
Our existence dates back over 1,000
Oh, there's one of the
years.
tree people we met.
During this time, these diverse races, many of whom were enemies on the outside, have learned to live together because they must.
How did you freeze my weaponry?
We have among us many individuals gifted with psionic powers, peace being our single goal. With or without your knowledge, engage in any form of violence whatsoever, you will suffer the ultimate penalty, total immobilization of your ship for a century.
A century? We'd all be dead by the end of it. No, Commander Corps. This small universe of ours is a curious trap.
We are getting out.
Then we better do it pretty quick, Captain. Maybe because of the time warp we went through. But we've only 4 days at the most before power goes.
Let's do the time warp
Impossible
again.
to predict, Captain.
It is not against our laws to try to escape.
But they may kill themselves in these mad attempts.
So we will function as a single ship. Exchange of personnel and computer hookup to start as soon as we are beamed back to our ship.
Agreed.
Mr. Spock?
But do you serve gach?
Mr. Spock.
Forgive me, Commander. I was overcome by the moment. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Mr. Spock.
It is not like you, Commander. What do you really have in mind?
Very well. What would you think if the Enterprise suddenly disintegrated after our dual ship had pierced the time continuum?
I would think my commander had maneuvered brilliantly.
Allow me to escort this young man to his work area.
Very well, Mr. Spock.
But I've never known Spock to act like a pal under any circumstances.
But even though contact was necessarily limited, and their minds were suspicious, I picked up some indication they are planning to sabotage the Enterprise.
Sabotage.
Okay, so
How?
that's why
When?
he did it.
I cannot say.
By my calculations, the capsule will be triggered the exact moment our dual ship reaches warp 8.
Elysia is, in many respects, a perfect society, but with all its virtues, it is not home. And home, with all its faults, is where we prefer to be.
You would take these renegades with you?
Yeah.
We need them.
Very well.
That's similar to how I feel. A lot of people ask me, why do you put up with California with its extremely expensive living and all the wildfires and this and that? And the reason is exactly what Kirk said. It may have some faults, but it's my home. I've tried living other places. I just wanted to come home. He gets it.
Warp 7, Captain.
Sir, Sirius is calling us. He says it's urgent.
On audio, Lieutenant.
Captain Kirk, the Klingons have placed an explosive in your computer room. There it is, sir.
Go Megan! Handy that they have a little eject like that. The Klingons are like, why didn't you explode?
I'm picking up a radio transmission Captain Core intended for his home base. He took full credit for our escape from Elysia.
Why, that scoundrel.
It doesn't matter, Bones.
It doesn't?
That's what matters.
They made it. This was a bit of a surprise because I was expecting more of a time travel episode, and we got more of a time pocket, which I think is actually even more intriguing. It's like watching a leaf coming down the creek and it gets stuck in a little eddy or against a rock and it can't move. It's kind of like that. And all those other people had basically given up and created their own world that was even better than the outside, which is really admirable because they could have just fought each other into oblivion, but instead they came together. And I think that Kirk respected that, even though he didn't really want to be part of it. It was great watching all the Klingons running around trying to come up with a plan to destroy the Enterprise. That is a really tiny explosive for how large the explosion was. And why did they have them on board? I don't know. I guess they're Klingons. They probably have a whole closet full. It was really interesting, though, the idea that you could trigger a bomb at a certain warp speed. A lot of people see Klingons as rah, rah, you know, and they're actually really, really clever. And they have some great scientists, and I feel like that gets overlooked a lot. They're great warriors, and we don't really think of them in a laboratory being like, Kalis, I shall build this incredibly delicate thing. But they do. I would love a show about Klingon scientists. That's the entire show. Just set it in a laboratory or something. I think that would be really fun. Even though this particular episode didn't have a huge amount of excitement to it, I really liked the premise and I think it's a solid episode.